Welcome everyone to the Belt Barber podcast, the first and only podcast about entrepreneurship for barbers and beauty professionals. Guys, my name is Tico Invictus. I'm your host, and I have here my beautiful wife, my co-host. Can you guys follow me, Tico Invictus, on Instagram? And today we're gonna be talking about accounting and taxes, and I have a specialist in taxes and accounting here, my friend, our client, Leo. Leo, I know you for how long?
I think you know me for 8 years, maybe 8 years. Long time.
Long time. So he's an expert, guys, in accounting and taxes. So today we're gonna be sharing here ideas, information. Leo, thank you for coming out here, brother, and introduce yourself.
Chico, Ligia, it's a great pleasure to be here. It's been an honor. I've been following you guys with the Black Belt Barber podcast, and you guys have been bringing on awesome guests, so it's truly an honor to be here with you today. For those that are listening or watching the video, I'm Leo Resende. I'm a CPA, know Chico, and have been a client of Chico for a long time now, Chico, and it's a great pleasure to be here. A little bit about myself. I was born in Brazil as well, moved here to the U.S. at the age of 11, brought on by my parents, and very blessed to be living in this beautiful country, and came to school here since middle, elementary, high school, college here in the U.S. In high school, I had a class that had to do a project to identify a possible career for my life. This was 9th or 10th grade, and during that class, for that project, I knew that I wanted to do something with business. I always liked doing business. I always liked business in itself. So I knew that I had to choose a career for myself that was in a career. So I looked at economics, marketing, international business, which I almost went into. Because we speak Portuguese, we're from another country.
Did you ever try to be a soccer player?
No. I played soccer throughout high school, but I knew that I wasn't going to be a pro. So I got that out of my mind from early on, which was also good, right? I didn't waste any time with that. So at that project, I looked into accounting. I saw that it was an industry that always had high demand. And I thought to myself, hey, if you're in an industry that has a lot of demand, and if you're really good at what you do, there's going to be that tendency of you to always be earning more and moving up on your career, right? So since I was 15, 16, I always knew that I wanted to do accounting, right? So I went to school for accounting. I went to Florida Atlantic University here in Boca Raton. Got my bachelor's degree there. Also got my master's in business administration, the MBA, with a focus in accounting back in 2017. And right after that, I knew that I had to keep getting licenses and learning more and perfecting my craft, right? So I decided to go for the CPA, which is a Certified Public Accountant. That's the highest designation in the field of accounting here in the U.S. And I knew that if I wanted to be good at what I, was doing for my life and also have a differentiator from my competition, that I had to go for the CPA. It's a very difficult license to acquire. There are certain prerequisites. You have to get graduate level courses, so not only the bachelor's degree, but most people also get the master's. You also need to have worked under a CPA for at least a year here in Florida, so there's that experience required, and you also have to pass the CPA exam, which is a very difficult exam. It's a 4-part exam. You got to pass all 4 parts within 18 months. So it's very difficult. The passing rate for the exam is lower than the bar exam for attorneys. And it pretty much tests you on accounting theory, on financial statement preparation, on tax, and also on business itself. So a CPA knows a lot about business in all areas of business. They must know about it. Which also helps me serve as an advisor role to my clients. So we not only assist our clients with tax preparation and the accounting financial statement preparation, but also on the advisory side, since we know about the business side as well. So graduated from school, got my license in CPA, and launched my business in 2016, Leader Associate. So we've been around for 6 years now. assisting, small to mid-sized clients and also individuals, from helping them set up their business to guiding them through all different stages of the business. We also have some large clients as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we do: accounting, tax, and business advisory.
It's
Wow.
interesting that you knew what you wanted to do so young. Most people, they don't
Exactly.
know what they want
Yeah,
when they're teenagers. It takes some time to figure it out.
for sure. And I think it's rare, those cases. So like people always try to ask me, hey, so how did you know? I feel like I'm blessed to have decided that in the early on of my life. But that's not the norm. So if you're out there and you still don't know what you're doing, don't worry about it. It's very rare cases where you know exactly what you want from early on, and it's a blessing to have had that. So like I didn't waste a lot of time going into different paths and figuring out that wasn't something for me. But that's the norm. So it's always good to keep learning, keep doing research on what you possibly want to do for you, to also, try to have some work experience, try to get out there and see what that day-to-day is going to be like. It's not for everybody to be an accountant. You're in an office the
Not
whole
for me
day
at
in
all.
front of a computer. A lot of people could not stand there, for a week, but for other people, that's, what they like to do. What I like about my career is that I deal a lot with different business owners. So we're also talking about their businesses. I'm constantly learning about, their strategies as well. So, yep, that's what I chose early on, and I'm very happy with it. And I think I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
And I'm so glad to. I saw your journey.
Yeah.
Remember, you were working for someone else once. I mean, before.
Yeah.
And I called you or text you. I say, Leo, there's this a room for rent. Do you like to start your own business there? And you just said, look, Chico, everything it's on the right time. That's not my time right now.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. Maybe in a year or two. And now I see you very successful.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all different phases, right? So like you have to be patient too. You can't just expect to be at that level that person from Instagram is like. You got to take baby steps, but constantly keep moving, step by step. Don't rush things. Do it right. Make sure that you create processes for your business before you grow as well, because it's like a tree, right? So if you have a good branch there, good roots established, and it's going to grow the right way. It's going to grow straight. Now, if you already start growing sideways, then it's not going to grow right.
It's going to grow
Crooked, exactly, right? So step by step, I started off, in my parents', guest room, and then I moved out to my own home office, when I moved out of my parents' house. And then with time, I subleased an office space from one of my clients, and then moved on to our own office. So, it's step by step. Don't rush things, and just make sure they create a good product. Master your craft first before you start to branch out. But at the same time, don't get too comfortable.
Yes, I totally agree with that, because our brain always dragging us to our comfortable zone.
Yep.
So, Leo, talking about barbershops and salons, how can a CPA help a barbershop or salon owner? Give me some example. I mean, in the business side, like
Right.
creating strategy and all that. How can you guys help someone that is kind of lost and what to do next?
Sure. Well, with business, there are certain obligations that the business must have, right? So whether it's some local requirements, such as setting up your business, making sure that you have the correct licenses in place prior to you starting, make sure that you have your accounting done, your books and records. That's a requirement by the IRS, that you must have separate books and records for your business. You also have some tax obligations, right? So annual tax forms, and that must be filed. If you sell products in your salon or in your barbershop, then you got to deal with sales tax, and that's going to vary between your state or your local jurisdiction, right? So it's important for you to have somebody by your side that's first going to help you organizing everything. So since the inception of the business, when you're organizing, setting up your business, there's got to be a legal structure that's formed. It's going to help you later on down the road as well. There are certain tax elections that must be made. That's going to help you pay less in taxes as well. Um, and from that annual, or that maintenance part of the business as well, throughout the time, you're going to have questions. Hey, Leo, can I deduct this on my business? Should I be doing this? When hiring your first employee or your subcontractor, there are certain requirements that you must adhere to. So it's important for you to have somebody by your side throughout the steps of your business, somebody that you trust, somebody that's licensed, somebody that's got the experience to guide you the right way. Okay, it's important, and you asked about the CPA, right? CPA, that's the certified public accountant. When somebody has those credentials, you can rest assured that that's somebody that went to school for accounting. That's somebody that has the experience already, proven experience working under other CPAs. And that's somebody that passed this exam that tests a lot of different concepts, whether it's accounting, tax, or business, like I mentioned earlier today. So it gives you peace of mind that the advice that you're getting is correct. Okay, and that peace of mind is worth a lot, especially for somebody that's starting out. Okay, if you don't hire someone with those credentials, then it's okay. There are other credentials as well, but you should always make sure that whoever you're hiring's got that track record or it's got the experience to so that you can rest assured that the information being provided to you is correct. It could be that you get some wrong information, that you do something wrong with your business that's going to cost you a lot down the road. Okay, and that's within the industry, right? So make sure that you hire good professionals, whether it's a barber, whether it's an attorney, whether it's an advisor that you're hiring, financial advisor. You got to find out who you're hiring, and choosing people with the right certifications give you that peace of mind.
Oh, amazing.
One mistake I see a lot of business owners, not only barbers, but business owners in general making is they first open the business, and later on, after the business is already running, then they go and look for an accountant to advise them on what to do. And then sometimes it's too late because they already made big mistakes. So I would recommend first sit with if you're thinking about, I should open a business, sit with an accountant and ask, what type of business should I open? Corporation, LLC, what's the difference? How does it affect me in the long term? Get a device on, depending on the plan you have for your business, right? If you're going to do, let's say, franchises, you should look for something. If you're just going to have multiple shops, but it's going to be all owned by yourself, there's so many things. Like, what if you die? Who's going to inherit your business? Depending on the type of business you have open, it changes completely. So there's so many things that they should look for first before they open the business, right? And a lot of accountant, they do this free consultation that you can schedule a time, sit and explain, I want to start a business, and get a device.
No, for sure. And the advice is going to be crucial for the future of your business, right? So maybe you just have an accountant that does your taxes, and you think that you have the help that you need, right? So each year you go and you sit and you review your tax return with your accountant, and that's your experience with your accountant. But that's very limited to what an accountant could do, to what a CPA can do. So what I advise my clients is to come sit with us, get some business advice. Let's talk shop, right? Let's know what your ideas are for the future, because there are things that you can do today that is going to help you later down the road. So if you wait until you're already there, and now it may be too late for you to do certain things. And here, especially talking about on the accounting and tax side, there are certain elections that's going to save you a lot of money in taxes that must be filed by, say, March 15th of the year. So if you wait until past that, then that's too late. So always have good guidance. Make sure that you have a relationship, that you build a relationship with your advisor, somebody that you can talk to, that you can schedule a call or a meeting. So it's important for the growth of your business to have somebody like that by your side. Don't always think about the cost. Okay, so you get what you pay for, like with anything in the barber industry as well. If you're somebody that's just looking for a lower cost all the time, you might get bad advice or not sufficient that's going to help you get to the next level. So that's another recommendation. Try to find somebody that you trust, that you can build a relationship for the long run, because it's going to pay it off.
What about if there's someone has a business open already for a little over a year, and they didn't pay the tax, they all messy and they never talk to an accountant, got all this information. What are the pros and cons when you don't do your taxes?
Well, there are lots of cons, right? When you don't do your taxes most of the time, there isn't going to be any pros of you not doing that, right? So it's important for you to be up to date with your filings and with paying all the necessary taxes. There are penalties that the IRS and the state authorities will charge you for not doing it, and it's one of those things that are never going to go away, right? So you have some people that just think, oh, like I'm just going to ignore it, because that's something that bothers me, that I don't even want to deal with it. And then hopefully it's going to go away one day.
Might be
It's
a lack
not.
of information too.
It could be as well. It could be as well. There are some people that haven't had the proper advices, and they just simply don't know, right? So the first thing that I would recommend is first have a sit down with the CPA or with an accountant to go over your history, right? So there are things that can be done where you can pull a transcript with the IRS to find out what your history is, right? So pretty much the IRS knows most of the time when you have income that's reported to you, right? So if you worked for somebody or if you have clients that are paying you, right, and that gets reported to the IRS is waiting for you to file a tax return that's going to show that amount that already got reported to the IRS. So if somebody reports to the IRS that they paid you, and then you don't report to the IRS that you had that income, there is that mismatch. So that's going to be there outstanding on your record. The IRS is going to keep waiting for you to reconcile everything and report that income. Okay? Trust me, it's not going to go away. So it's important for you to first, if your situation out is a little bit messy or if you don't know what your situation is like, there are things that can be done to find out exactly what your situation is today. So that's the first step, is find out the history, what needs to be done, right? You can always file back returns as far back as you want to make sure that you're up to date so that you can sleep at night and, put your head on the pillow knowing that you don't owe the IRS, that you're not going to go to jail for not filing your taxes or not paying your taxes, right? We live in a society where it's the responsibility of the citizen, of the person that's living in the country to pay the taxes that are required, right? So each person must pay their own taxes and not just the taxes per se, but there are certain reporting requirements that you must do. Even if there isn't any taxes due, you must report, right? So each person's paying their own share so that we can have the nice roads, we can have the public school system, we can have, the things that we have here in this beautiful country here in the U.S. specifically. So it's your responsibility to be up to date with your taxes. First step would be to find out what needs to be done, going backwards, and then on the annual basis there at least for you to be up to date with everything that needs to be done.
If you been having an audition,
Audited, yep.
if you audited, what are the consequences? Let's say you've been running your business for 3-4 years and you never file your taxes, or you might have a better question.
Inside your question, like, can IRS have access to your bank account? So if you're not reporting what you're making, can they have access and see how much money was
the
being
consequences
deposited?
of it.
Yep. And then if you get audit, how does it work?
Yeah. So normally the IRS is not going to have that information automatically from your bank accounts, right? Unless you're being audited or investigated. I'm not going to say that that's 100% of the time. So it could be that the bank that you're in could report something to the IRS, which could lead to an investigation or to an audit. So that's also possible as well. Or there could be a tip from somebody. It could be your competitor on the road that knows for a fact that you're not filing your taxes. They could contact the IRS and let them know. And then the IRS would reach out to you saying, hey, I see here that you're not filing your tax returns. Let's take a look closely, right? So what happens in an audit is that it's the taxpayer's responsibility to prove everything, right? So you're pretty much guilty until proven innocent, right? So if the IRS sees that you deposited $100,000 in your bank account and you're saying that that's not income or you didn't report that, you have to prove that you don't have to report the $100,000 of income, right? Yeah, not all money receipts equals income, right? So you can have a gift that somebody gives you. You can have inheritance, right? That's not going to be taxable to the taxpayer. It could be a loan that you got from somebody, right, that you have to pay back. So that money going into your bank account doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pay the taxes. But it's the burden of proof to the taxpayer to prove to the IRS, hey, this money that got deposited there is not income. So you have to prove. You got to show loan documents. You got to show inheritance documents, you know? So, and same thing with the expenses, right? So when you're audited, the IRS is going to want to make sure that everything that you claim, whether income or expenses, are in fact tax deductible or taxable income, right? So it's your responsibility to prove to the IRS. It's not their responsibility to prove to you that they aren't deductible. They're automatically going to assume that it's not deductible. So you have to go and prove, okay, so this lunch that I have with my vendor or with my client, okay, I went to a restaurant to pay there $50, and I ran it through the business account, okay, and I deducted that on my taxes as a business deduction. The IRS is going to want to know, hey, was that a business meeting? Can you show proof of that business meeting? Can you show what were the topics that were discussed? Who were you with? So then it's up to you to keep a log of these expenses so that if you're ever audited, you can prove. And that's for every business deduction. Okay. Now, do you need to keep track or record of all of those business deductions? Essentially, yes. The IRS could question you on all deductions. If you can't prove, they won't take it. But the IRS is also reasonable. So there are going to be some things there. For example, if you work in a barbershop, right, and if you own a salon, if you're using the company's credit card to buy some supplies, right, so you're buying shaving cream, right, and if you go to your vendor and if you purchase 100 bottles of shaving cream, you don't necessarily, just because by having that receipt that you purchase, or if it's on your bank statement showing that you purchased from this vendor, which is a vendor that only sells shaving creams, then you can prove, hey, I use my company card to pay this vendor. All they do is sell products. So so the IRS will know and count that as a business deduction. Now, if you're using your company card, let's say, to go to Walmart, right, you could be buying some supplies at Walmart, correct? Or you can buy cleaning supplies there. You can buy, there are lots of things that you can buy at a place like Walmart. But you can also buy a new TV for your home, right? Or you can buy other personal stuff. So if you're just using your company credit card and to buy at Walmart, you got to have some sort of other backup just in case you're audited to say, hey, I went to Walmart, I spent $1,500, but it wasn't to buy a TV for my home. It was to buy supplies, I bought water, I bought, paper towels for my salon or whatever, So in those situations, it's even more important for you to keep good records.
Question: They can confiscate stuff in your salon or barbershop or put a lien hold in your house because if you got audited and if you're not correct with everything you do. I heard once someone that I know works in construction. Mm-hmm. He told me he never paid his taxes. I think after like 10 years, never paid his tax, never filed a tax return. He got audited over $1 million, and also they confiscated his house. I don't know if it's called confiscated, but they put a lien. Mm-hmm. That can happen?
Yep, that can certainly happen. So you have to pay your taxes, right? So when you don't do that, the IRS has the power to put the lien on your assets. Right, so those assets could be your bank account. Those assets could be your home, your car, right? So I've had clients that were in that situation where they owed a lot of money to the IRS, and the IRS assigns an agent, so that's going to be responsible for your case. They're going to be calling you. They're going to be very aggressive too. So they're in that position to get all the assets that you have, find out everything about you.
And can cost you a lot of money with lawyers too, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, if you're going to be going backwards to take care of a situation, and you are going to need help, right, most of the time. So whether it's hiring a tax attorney or a CPA to go back and argue in front of the IRS for you, that's going to cost you money backwards, So aside from all the taxes that you have to pay, you are going to need help to take care of this problem. It's not, like I said, it's not going to go away. And it can certainly get to a point where all of your assets get, liens on them, and the IRS can actually force you to sell some of these assets to pay your tax bill, So that for sure happens. I see it a lot. So yeah,
Because you
tax.
didn't do it right, and then it becomes ugly, right? Situation.
Yeah, and aside from you having to pay the tax that's due, you also have to pay penalties and interest that gets added. So I've seen cases where the person owes $60,000 in taxes, but they owe $80,000 of penalties and interest and everything else. So that keeps getting added. So the longer that it takes for you to take care of that situation, the more you're gonna have to pay in the long run, and it could be more than the actual tax.
What about if I don't have assets? Like if I don't own a home? What about if I only have a salon?
Right.
That's it.
It's your asset.
Oh,
Right.
that's my. Oh,
That's your
They can
asset.
take
what they
your
can do?
business?
They can take your business.
It can take your business. So it's an asset that you have. So if the IRS finds out that you're running all of your, let's say, your income and expenses through your salon, yeah, but that's an asset that you have. So that salon has a value, right? So I've seen cases where the IRS forces you to sell your business. They're going to go and they say, hey, you have to sell your business. You got to liquidate so that you can get money to pay us. They are a creditor, and they're probably the number one creditor in the world. Maybe I'm not sure about that, but a lot of people owe money to the IRS, so they are professionals in getting that money, right? If you think about it, right, they have processes. And like I said, they could be very aggressive when dealing with you as well. So if you get into that situation, I recommend you hiring someone that's already used to dealing with the IRS, that know the things that they ask. There are certain strategies that you can approach the situation. There are certain ways that you can possibly minimize some of the penalties as well. But yeah, so instead of you dealing directly with the agent, try to get some help. Yeah, it's going to cost you, but like you mentioned, there are going to be some costs
And
associated.
who's the person that can help you? A CPA and a tax attorney would be the best professionals to help you if you're audited.
I'd say yes. There's also another designation, which is an IRS enrolled agent, which is a tax specialist that can also represent you before the IRS. So I'd say, yeah, it's those three. You got the tax attorney, you got the CPA, and an IRS enrolled agent. These are people that can represent you, not just because they have those designations. It means that they have experience with dealing with the IRS. So it's important for you to hire an expert that knows how to deal with the IRS. We do some IRS representations, but not all cases. There are certain cases that are been around for
Extremely
longer,
ugly.
extremely big, that we might not be the best professionals to represent you. So we have partners that we can refer you out, and I think that's important for us to have that transparency with our clients. Hey, if this is not something that we are experts on, we're going to pass it on to somebody that can. I'm not just going to take a client just because it's going to be money for the firm. No, I need to take on a case or take on a client that I think that I can win for my client.
And you can be audited in the personal level and also in the business level, right? You can be audited
Correct.
both ways.
Correct, both ways, yeah. Essentially, there are different ways that you can be audited. There's a way that's a random, so pretty much there's a certain percentage of all individual returns that get audited, or business returns that get audited just on a random basis. So it's luck of the draw, Russian roulette type of thing, where if you happen to get audited because of that, it's a normal process. You don't have to be worried if you're doing things right. Okay, you pretty much just need to show to the IRS or show proof of what you have been declaring to the IRS. There are other ways, such as if somebody tells on you and say, hey, there is this guy there that I'm sure that he's not paying his taxes, or he's got this mansion there, and I know for a fact that he didn't file his tax return. That's something very private, so not a lot of people would know that. Most of the time, this happens with a disgruntled employee. So if you have somebody that works for your company that knows the ins and outs, knows that you're not paying your taxes, they get mistreated one day, they want to leave, and they know your podres, right? Your bad thing. So they'll tell on you. They'll go to the IRS and say, hey, I know for a fact I work there. I know that they're not declaring all their income, so investigate them. So that's another way. And then the third way, or third most common way, is if you do something wrong with your filings, right? So on the accounting or tax filings that you file with the IRS, there are certain red flags or things that get the IRS's attention, and that could put your return on a different pool that could lead to being audited. And most of the time, the auditeds are they notify you via letter. Okay, so they're not going to call you at first. They'll send you a letter saying, hey, we're running an examination of your tax return. You're going to be getting a subsequent letter with some information that we need from you. So please beware.
What about if you are a self-employed, like a barber or hairdresser? Can you file your own taxes?
You can.
There's a possibility of a lots of mistake, and the third one that you just mentioned happened.
Yeah, for sure, and that happens all the time. I think most people file their own taxes here in the U.S., and it's totally fine. Like, anybody can file their own tax, even for their business. They're able to go there and prepare the tax return for their business. Not just because you can do it means that that's the best way for you to do it, right? So if you are just an employee and you get one W-2 and it's a very simple return, it could be that it's not, worth it for you to hire a CPA to take care of your taxes because it's so simple. There's not much that you can do. Now, as a self-employed, I think that it's definitely worth it for you to reach out to a professional to assist you with your tax preparation. There are certain deductions there that a self-employed can take that you may not be aware of. There's a home office deduction. There's some tools that you can write off. There's some depreciation that you can take off 100% in the year that you buy. There's certain things that a professional will be able to assist you better with. So for a self-employed, I would recommend hiring a professional to assist you with your tax filings because the cost to get your tax return done is less than the possible benefits that you can get from hiring a professional.
I'd rather to hire a professional.
Yeah.
But so many people, they don't have that money at first and they want to file their own, but eventually they end up not sending a specific documents, and then end up getting audited for a little mistake.
Yeah, for sure. And most audits from individuals happen at the self-employed level, right? So somebody that's a self-employed that files what we call the Schedule C on their personal tax return, they're going to be putting there all the expenses that they had for their business, right? And some people overstate their expenses, right? So they're playing there with their tax software. So they're saying, hey, if I put $10,000 in supplies, then my net income is going to be X, and I have to pay, let's say, $3,000, But if I put $20,000 and it goes down to $1,000, let me go ahead and put $20,000, So they're doing it themselves. Their goal there, of course, for everybody, right? So everybody wants to pay the least amount of tax as possible. But if they're not getting, proper advice, they may be doing something wrong, and that's going to raise a red flag to the IRS, and then they're going to be audited, and you have to prove everything that's there. And there are certain penalties when you claim expenses that you, in fact, didn't have, and it could actually be a criminal offense if you don't do it. So if you not pay, I think, 25% of what you should have paid, the IRS could consider it something criminal and file a criminal lawsuit against you. So it's not something that you can play around with. Depending on the amount that you claim there, you could be in a lot of trouble. So
Don't play with Uncle Sam, right?
Don't play with Uncle Sam.
If you're self-employed, is it better to declare your tax in the personal level, or would you recommend opening a business and then you're self-employed doing business for another business? What is the best way?
Actually, let me explain our side, barbering, right? For many years when I started my career, I had a lack of information because of myself. I wasn't looking for information. So we all most of us is self-employed. So we 1099. And then come her question, is it better you open I think it's the same question, right? Is it better open a business? And should I open a business? And if yes, what's the difference of Corp and what is that?
LLC, maybe?
LLC.
Yeah, that's a good question. First, let's talk about how you can work as a barber or as somebody from the beauty industry. Basically, as a worker, you could be a W-2 person, like an employee of a business, or you can be self-employed, like an independent contractor, okay? Most people in the beauty industry work as a self-employed. Not all of them. There are some people that work as employees. So if there is a salon that's going to hire you to be their employee to do, do the nails there, you could be a W-2 employee. In that case, you are going to be getting a salary amount. It could be per hour. There could be some commissions involved. There could be some bonuses. But it's all going to run through the payroll, where from the amount that you receive, you're going to be paying income taxes, and you're going to be paying your part of the Social Security and Medicare taxes. It's about 8% that goes to the Social Security and Medicare. And then the company that's hiring you, they're going to be paying the other half, about 8%, that also gets contributed to the Social Security and Medicare fund. Okay, so you're responsible for income tax, Social Security, and Medicare. In certain states, there's also state income tax and local income tax as well. Not the case here in Florida. So that's when you are an employee. Now, as an employee, you don't get to deduct any expenses that you had because you're working for another company. They're responsible with providing you with all the tools, all the equipment that you need, right? So you don't get to write off any expenses. You get paid a certain amount. There's the taxes that are going to be withheld, and that's it. So it's a little bit simpler when you are a W-2. Now, from my experience, most people in the beauty industry work as independent contractors, right? So maybe they are renting out a chair in a barbershop, right? So, and then they buy their own supplies, right? They buy their own tools, equipment, right? So, in that case, the company that they're working for, they're running all of the back office information. So they're charging their clients, and then they're passing on the payment to the barber, okay? Or, to the nail salon person, or, So as a 1099, you are considered self-employed. So if you're working there, you're going to get a certain amount of income, which is the amount that the salon or the barbershop is going to be paying you. And then from that income, you get to deduct all of the expenses that you had to earn that income. What are some of those expenses? You can be paying rent to the salon to rent your chair, right? Could be a fixed amount, could be a percentage of the cuts that you do. That's going to depend on your arrangement with the salon. You also have supplies that you may purchase, right? So you may purchase like your own shaving cream or whatever. That's going to depend on the arrangement that you have with the place that you're working at, right? You also can have other expenses. You may need to use your telephone if you're dealing directly with your clients, right? So there are some applications for booking that you may need to pay. There's some advertising that you may have to do, right? So you may use social media to advertise your clients, your cuts, or whatever, to bring in more clients to you. So all of those expenses that you have, those are going to be deductible, right? And that's a good thing because you pay taxes on the profit, on whatever is left over. So you're going to have the income, and then you're going to have the expenses. And whatever is left over, that's the amount that you pay both the income taxes and what we call self-employment taxes. Okay, so as a self-employed individual, you're always going to be paying two types of taxes. You're paying the income taxes and the self-employed, just like the employee. Remember that I mentioned the employee, that they pay the income taxes and the Social Security and Medicare? Self-employment taxes is exactly that for the self-employed, the part that goes to Social Security and Medicare. But as a self-employed, you pay both portions. You pay the portion of the employee and the employer. So it's about 15% of the profit for your business goes towards self-employment taxes. And then you also pay income taxes. So one thing that it's important, as a self-employed, you get to deduct the expenses. Second point, you only pay taxes on the profit. Okay? So question is whether it's better for you to open a company or to just simply work under your personal name. Okay? I like advising clients to open their company just because if they are thinking in the long run, right? So they may want to get their name established. They may want to start building that history for their company. Maybe later down the road, if you are a barber today, maybe you want to open up your own shop. If you have a business already set up, you're already going to have that history, of having the business set up, let's say 5 years back. So once you do open up your own salon, you're already going to be looked at, hey, so this guy's been in business for 6 years. You're not just somebody that just opened right now. So that's the business factor that comes in. For tax purposes, if you open up an LLC, and if you're the only owner of the LLC, you're going to be taxed exactly the same as if you were self-employed working under your name. So there aren't any or much tax benefits if you open up the LLC and if you're the only owner of it.
You still pay the
Self-employment
self-employment
tax. Yep, you're going to pay exactly the same amount of taxes. Okay, but it's going to be a separate legal entity. You're going to have your company, and then you're going to have yourself. Okay, there are certain legal aspects to having a company, right? Which most of those are related to like lawsuits that could be put up against you, right? So as a self-employed or as a business owner, it could be that there is a lawsuit that's put against you. Maybe you're out there cutting someone's hair and you stick the scissors on their neck. Scary, right?
Or cut with a razor, yeah.
Or cut with a razor. But there could be a lawsuit that's against you or against your company. If you're doing the work, in theory, okay, if you're doing the work under your company name and somebody files a lawsuit, they're going to file the lawsuit against the company, not against you individually. So if you have other assets, in theory, since the lawsuit is not against you personally, it's against this LLC, only the assets that are under the LLC would be exposed to the lawsuits, okay? Of course, this is more of a legal thing that you should be consulting with an attorney, but I like to give the basic idea behind it, okay? So there's that legal protection of having a company like a limited liability company, an LLC or DS corporation, because you get to separate the assets for the company than your assets personally, okay? As far as tax purposes, though, as an LLC, the LLC is the most common type for small businesses that are starting out. I like it because it can be very flexible. You can change it as you grow, okay? So you can start small and be an LLC being taxed as a sole proprietor or as a self-employed. So you start out like that. As the business is growing and you're earning more, and it could be that it's beneficial for you to maybe convert that LLC to be taxed as an S corporation, okay? So there are certain tax structures and legal structures. The legal structures are corporation, limited liability company. Those are the most common. Now, the way that those entities are taxed could be different. So an LLC could be taxed as a sole proprietor. It can be taxed as an S corporation. It could even be taxed as a C corporation. So it's very flexible. So as your business grows, you can change it up. So that's what I like about the LLC.
You can change You can change how it's taxed. But let's say I have a C corporation.
Mhm.
Then I don't have this protection on my assets if I get sued. Can I change to an LLC after I already open a C corp?
Okay, the corporation does offer that same protection. Okay, so as the limited liability company, the LLC, the S Corp, and the C Corp, they all offer that same type of legal protection, separation. So that wouldn't be an issue under the C Corporation. Now, a C Corporation normally can only be taxed as a C Corporation or as an S Corporation. They can't be taxed as an LLC. Okay, so now the LLC can go the other way. So that's why I like recommending clients to go that route, because you can, as your business grows and, things change, you can always be very flexible with that.
Can you add a partner to your LLC?
For sure. You can certainly add a partner to the LLC, and that becomes a partnership for tax purposes. So there would need a separate business tax return to be filed. Essentially, it's not going to be taxed much different, the amount of taxes that you pay, but it offers more flexibility on who is the partner that's running the business, who the partner that's just an investor. The investor, if they are a limited partner, then they won't have to pay the self-employment taxes since they aren't working, So there are certain nuances there, but the LLC certainly offers that flexibility for you to grow and add other partners, and yeah.
Okay, sounds interesting having an LLC, right? Because
Yeah.
you can change as your business grow.
Yeah, especially for who are beginner, like
It's
a
just
startup.
starting.
A startup.
Exactly. And the LLC, and one important thing is that you have to, if you do decide to open the business, you have to run it like a business. Okay, so you must separate the business expenses from your personal expenses. You must have a separate bank account for your business. Okay, so not just because you have the business opens, it means that the IRS is going to treat that business as a business. They could disconsider the fact that you have the business set up and treat it as if it was your personal thing. If they see that there are personal expenses being paid, that you have only just one bank account for business and personal, so all of that protection that we're talking about, those legal protections, that can go away if you're not treating your business like a business. If you have a business, treat it like a business. Open up a separate bank account. Do the bookkeeping. Separate those transactions there. Categorize. Make sure that you're filing all of the tax returns for the business that are required.
So in terms of being self-employed or subcontractor for a salon or barber shop, or if you were a nail technician, facial specialist, you would say in terms of how much you pay in taxes and what you can deduct will be the same if you file as a person or if you file as a business. But then having a business is more beneficial because, as you said, you usually have plans to grow. You can have a line of credit, you can get loans, but to do that and open a salon, open a business and grow, you need to have a history. Otherwise, you can get loans or credit cards to help you grow your business. So that's the only difference in terms of how much you pay is the same.
It's going to depend on how big you are as a company and how much net income that you're having, okay? There are certain tax strategies that you can take, and I normally recommend the client to go into the S Corp, okay, tax structure. Once they reach that $50,000 per year of net profit, that's what I normally recommend. So you can be an LLC, and then once you start getting $50,000 of net profit for the year, then you may want to consider converting your company to being an S corporation. Or even if you don't have a business, but you're self-employed and you're already netting the $50,000 a year, you can open up an S corporation right off the bat, and then being taxed as an S corporation, there are certain tax advantages. You pay less in tax. Why is that? Let me try to explain a little bit. When you're self-employed, you pay both the income taxes and the self-employment taxes over the whole profit. So if you have a business that has, let's say, $100,000 of profit, you are going to pay over the $100,000 the income taxes and the 15% self-employment taxes. Okay, if you decide to operate as an S corporation, okay, from the $100,000, you get to designate a part that's your payroll, your salary. So one of the disadvantages of the S corporation is that you must have a payroll. You must be paying yourself a salary for the work that you're doing for the S corporation. So there are certain, like you have to run payroll, you gotta have the taxes withheld, but at the same time, there are certain tax advantages by operating like that. It's because from the $100,000 of profit, you can separate the part that you actually worked for, which would be, let's say, you could designate that your salary should be $50,000. Okay, that's your W-2. That's the amount of money that you worked for the company for, and the company's paying you. So if you think about it, from the $100,000, you have $50,000 of payroll for your W-2 income, and then you're gonna have an additional, let's say, $50,000 of profit. Over the amount that you pay yourself a salary on, you are gonna be paying the Social Security and Medicare. The company's gonna be paying half of it. You're gonna be paying the other half. But on the profit, whatever is left over, you don't pay the self-employment taxes. You don't pay the Social Security and Medicare. You only pay income taxes. So instead of paying the self-employment taxes and the income taxes on the full $100,000, you can separate a portion that you are paying the self-employment taxes because it's the amount that you're working for, and the other part that's just the company's profits. So the profit essentially is a result of all the work that was put in, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a compensation for the work that you put in. So you don't have to pay self-employment taxes on that. So by being able to separate like that, you save on taxes, especially on the self-employment taxes.
Oh, see, that's why it's so important to consult with an accountant or a CPA, because sometimes people are afraid to ask the questions. They don't know the answers, and they pay more than they could be paying. Right. And you're not doing anything illegal. No. You're doing completely legal.
Exactly.
But you're saving money on taxes.
Wow, my whole life, I worked total wrong. I used to we have this culture in barbering that, not right now because the technology are there, we can receive in credit card swiping, but it used to be a lot of cash. Right. I used to come home in the beginning of my career with like a tons of cash.
Where do you live again? What's your address so I can know where all the cash is hidden?
Boston. We don't know
under the mattress. The cash is all under the mattress.
Like I say, lack of information. I mix all the, because a barber behind the chair, if he's renting out a chair, that's his business. You need to understand how to separate your personal and your business income. But question, what kind of documentation should I have handy to help my account when my account will do my taxes as a barber?
So as a barber, first of all, if you're doing as a self-employed,
Self-employed, 1099.
as a 1099, you have to keep track of your income and your expenses. Okay, nobody's gonna do that for you. The accountant's not gonna know how much in income you made or which expenses that you had. So it's your responsibility to keep track of that. You have to think that by having those expenses handy, that's gonna save you in taxes. Okay, so do you want to just report just the income and not report any expenses because you didn't keep track of it? Yeah, you can do that if you want, but you're going to be paying a lot more in taxes. So if you want to pay more in taxes, you must keep proper control. What can you do to do that? Maybe you can open up a separate bank account, even if it's under your personal name. You're going to open up a bank account, let's say Bank of America or Chase, and this is going to be the account that you're going to be using for work. Okay, so any income that you have, you're going to deposit into that bank account. Any expenses that you have for your business, you're going to be paying using that card. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have a formal business set up with an EIN number. You can organize yourself under your personal name as well. So you would have that separate bank account with all of those expenses there. And then what you can do, you can go through those bank statements and you can categorize those transactions to summarize it, right? So you can either hire a bookkeeper that's going to be helping you do that for you, or you can even do it yourself. You can go there through your bank statement and say, okay, so I spent this much with products this month and then this much in next month.
The bookkeeper helps you organize everything, categorize everything, right?
Right, yep. The bookkeeper will be categorizing with the result of having an annual summary. And that's what you're going to be providing to the accountant to prepare your taxes. That annual summary is going to be including the total income that you made, the total cost with supplies, the total cost with advertising. So it's a big summary of the whole year, January through December, of those expenses. So you can certainly do that under your personal name as well, and you should be doing that so that if you ever get audited, everything is in those bank accounts. So if the IRS asks you, hey, where's the proof for this? You can pull up all of your bank statements and it's going to show there all of the expenses that you said that you had.
Wow. Be very organized.
Yeah.
One thing, when we first started the business, I had zero knowledge about accounting, like zero. And I was trusting the person taking care of the business for us. And I never asked questions. I would just like, whatever, how much I'm supposed to pay. But I learned as a business owner that you should ask questions, because then even if you don't have to be a pro, you don't need to love accounting, right. But you have to have a basic knowledge because it helps you make better decisions. And then these decisions save you money on taxes, or it avoids putting you in big trouble because you can pay penalties and fees, and all the IRS can come after you and get your assets. So I know barbers are more artistic. They like cutting hair. That's their passion. But I think they should ask questions to your accountant, right? So let's say, I want to buy a car. Should I lease? Should I finance? What is the best way to handle this in talking about taxes? How can I benefit from buying a car? And I saw myself obligated to start learning, even if I don't want to be an accountant. I don't really like accounting. I don't really like taxes, but it made sense to make better decisions for our business. And I remember when I met Tico, his taxes were a mess. He would file the taxes, but he wouldn't ask questions. Yeah. He would just come, zero. This is my bank statement, how much I'm supposed to pay. He wouldn't ask questions. And I see a lot of people doing that. Don't do that. Ask questions, right?
Of course. And you have to know that for every tax return that gets filed, you're signing it. So you're responsible for the information that's on there. Unless your account is doing something very fraudulent where they're submitting without you signing it, they're making up numbers, which doesn't happen with good professionals, right? Like, it's not something that you expect. But most of the time, you are providing the accountant the information. So you're responsible for everything that's on there. So you have to know what you're signing with any document, right? Because if you do get audited, most of the time it's going to be on you, right? So that's also important to mention, is that when you're signing a tax return, even if it's electronically, which is how it's done most of the time nowadays, you're still signing it, and you're still telling the government that information is 100% correct. So it's really important to ask questions, to know exactly what you're signing each time. And I agree with you. Most people they hire services that they're not really good at, right? And that's with everything. I cut my hair at Invictus because I don't know how to cut my own hair, or I don't want to spend the time learning with doing that, Same thing with hiring an accountant, You don't have to be a pro at it, I want to know, which products that, Chico is using, or, if that razor is not going to give me an infection or something like that. And I trust that they're using, that they're cleaning all of their materials. Same thing with an accountant, You can ask you should be asking the questions. You don't have to know everything, but you should also ask the right questions to make sure that you're being taken care of. And part of it goes back to hiring the good professionals, that peace of mind, hiring someone with the certifications, hiring someone that has their name on the line as well. You don't want to hire someone that could be out of business next month and then you're totally responsible for it. Like, you have somebody that has, been through this process, they have their name on the line. So if they do something wrong with you, they're going to also be held accountable for it.
But I heard that before, many years in this industry, people talk in my chat that some accountant messed up the whole thing and they got the client into a trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So that could happen?
That could happen as well. And most of the time that happens when the client doesn't know what he's signing.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Because, he could blame it on the accountant, but the bottom line is that maybe he provided the accountant with those numbers,
To pay less taxes.
To pay less in taxes. So it's all good when you tell the accountant that you had all of these expenses and you signed his document saying that you in fact had those expenses. So the accountant's going to put that on your tax return. But then later down the road, if you do get audited, hey, you're the one that told the accountant those numbers. So it's easy for you to blame someone else. And that's with life, right? People blame their mistakes on other people, but in reality, they should be held responsible for it.
For asking, right? Ask what I'm signing here. What this, how this affects my business, my personal life. Ask questions, not just say, how much I'm supposed to pay? 3,000. No, let's put more expenses so I pay less, or I get a return instead of paying.
Yeah.
This is so dangerous.
Yeah,
it could put you in trouble, big trouble.
For sure.
Was very good answer for everything, but I need to tell everybody that as a 1099 barber or hairstylist, you guys have all the answers here. So we should take our chair like a business. We treat our chair like a business.
Yep.
So Leo, what is tax planning? And can I like see how much I'm going to pay on the following years? Can I like track it?
Good question. Tax planning is something that at Leader Associates, we are, telling a lot of our clients to do, and we're enrolling more and more clients into it, because it's one thing is you hire an accountant to take care of your taxes. That's something that's after the fact, right? There's not much that you can do. You're normally doing for the prior year. The other thing is hiring a proactive accountant, somebody that's going to be helping you make decisions today, that's going to help you in the future. And tax planning does exactly that. As a self-employed or even as a business owner overall, you have to be paying your taxes throughout the year. You know that. You got to be sending estimated tax payments. Even as a self-employed or as a 1099, you have to send the money in quarterly to the IRS. An estimate of the total amount that you're going to be paying, you got to pay that quarterly throughout the year, so that when you go to file your income tax returns, you already paid pretty much most of it already, so you're just doing that reconciliation. So that's something that's required. You must send estimated tax payments. The tax planning is going to help you out with that. Most of the time, you don't know how much that you're making, right? So it's a result of you keeping good records. You got to do your bookkeeping there. You got to know how much in income that you're having for the quarter, how much in expenses, what your net profit is, so that you can properly estimate the amount that you must send to the IRS. So don't wait until the following year for you to start sending payments in. Send it throughout the year, And tax planning is going to analyze your situation, not only the income that you're earning from your job as a barber. You may also have investments, right? So you may also be putting money into the stock market. You may own a home that's being rented, so there's rental income coming in there, right? So you may have other sources of income that must be considered, okay, to find out how much in taxes that you should be paying throughout the year. So tax planning is the analysis of your situation throughout the year, so that one, you should know how much in taxes that you are going to have to pay for the year, so you should send in those payments. And two, and which is even more beneficial, is what you can do prior to the year end to pay less in taxes. So tax planning would help you out. It's strategies that we can present to help you pay less in taxes for that year. So when you hire an accountant to do tax planning for you, you're going to want to avoid penalties and fees for not making those estimated tax payments, but you're also going to learn strategies of things that you can do to save money for that year, which is what everybody wants, right? And many times it's things that you're going to do anyways, but it's better for you to do it earlier rather than later, so you can pay less taxes now. So the idea with tax is that you always want to postpone the amount of taxes that you want to pay, right? You want to pay less today, which makes sense, because next year you could have another expense that you can put in. You can keep pushing it up, right? So depending on certain things that you can buy, like some tools, you can buy like an expensive scissors or razors, or you can invest in a new chair, for your salon, and you can take depreciation of the whole thing in the year that you buy, which really reduces the amount of income that you're paying taxes on, right? So that's just one of the strategies that we recommend when we do a tax planning session. But those are the goals: to pay less in penalties and pay less in taxes.
Amazing
That's
answer.
great. Most people, in general, they don't plan their lives
Right.
in all senses.
Mhm.
They go to the supermarket without a list, and then they end up spending more than they should.
Yeah, sometimes they lost the list.
Like Tico, yeah. I give him the list and he
Yeah,
lost the
lost.
list, and he calls me what I'm supposed to buy. I gave you the list. I don't know. Yeah, he did that once. So most people live like that. They don't plan.
Right.
And that's terrible, because you end up paying more. You end up
Right.
in a bad situation, because if you plan, you know how much you're going to be paying. You make smarter decisions, and you can also be saving the money every month instead of out of nowhere you have to come up with $5,000. But
Right.
if throughout the year you saved, you plan, you consult with a professional, I think it goes all to the thing. People are afraid to ask questions.
They are.
They're afraid, oh my God, he's going to charge me just because I'm going to ask him
Yeah.
some questions. Maybe not. There's professionals that charge for consultation, but there are professionals that don't. So if you can pay for the consultation, but maybe paying the consultation is going to save you so much money at the end of the year
Right.
that
And
it's
headache.
better.
Yeah.
It's
Which-
much better.
Which happens most of the time.
Yes.
Or that much. The amount that you pay for a consultation is going to be less than the amount of savings that you're going to be. Not even counting the headache that you're not going to have. You're going to be, with a peace of mind, knowing that everything is taken care of. Money is a topic that affects, I guess, most people, right? And taxes is a big part of it. So by you eliminating the worries related to money and to, most importantly, taxes in this scenario, you are freeing your mind to other things, for you to be creative. Focus on what you do best. Focus on you learning more about your craft. Focusing on going to conventions, to trade shows. You learn about. Don't spend your time, worried about the taxes that you got to pay. Hire someone that's going to help you with that. Somebody that's going to be a trustworthy advisor that will be on your side, able to answer any questions that you may have throughout the year. Things come up all the time,
Things change.
Things change. Tax law changes all the
It
time
keeps
as
changing
well.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Because of COVID, they did a lot of incentives and
Yep.
benefits. We're able to benefit from some of them. And
Exactly.
me and Tico were talking about that I think if we didn't have the business so organized
Mhm.
under the advice of an accountant,
Mhm.
Leo gave us advice for a few years
Yeah.
and helped us set up a very solid structure that
Right.
when COVID happened, we're able to get the grants, the PPPs, because we had everything in hands.
Yep.
Do you have your tax return? Yes. Do you have your payroll employees? Yes. You have how much you paid? Yes. Everything was handy, so it was easy to access those benefits.
For sure.
And I think that was the biggest advantage is the peace of mind, as you said.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
And we also had a grant from the Coconut Creek
From the city?
City, and then we went there just to for what? And then the guy said,
So-
I forgot about.
The city of Coconut Creek provided a grant to small business because of COVID to help to pay for your rent. And then you're supposed to apply and submit all the documents. They were requiring like 12 different documents. You had to prove that you have employees, that you pay their, what's the name of the form? not the W-9, the other one that I have it. W-2? W-9.
W-2s for the employees.
Which one is mine? My report.
Your 1120S, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to provide all that, and then they approved the grant, so they paid the rent for 1 month. And then when we went there to get the check, they said the most business that applied didn't have the documents
And
required.
she was the first one there.
You see?
Yeah, they say, oh, you're the first one to get your check. You're fast in submitting all the documents because I have everything ready. Because we have a good accountant taking care of that. Of course, I'm not a pro. I don't know how to do those things, but we hire a pro to help us.
Right.
And then whatever I need, it's there. And during COVID, we saw a lot of, in the beauty industry, was hit so hard because they couldn't work at all. The salons, the barber shops, they were all closed and that's it. They're non-essential.
Right.
And a lot of them couldn't get these PPPs, these benefits that would be of huge help for them.
Oh, for sure.
They couldn't get it.
It helped keep a lot of businesses afloat.
For
and
sure.
without having the documentation to prove it, a lot of people didn't get it, like you mentioned. All of our clients, were able to get some sort of help if they qualified for it. So we were there supporting them throughout the whole process because we knew that, hey, if they don't, get this help, they might not be there tomorrow as our clients, So it's essential for you to always keep records. And during these times, you realize how important it is for you to have a good professional by your side, to have proper records, because that's when they need it right there. If you don't have it ready, you're not going to get this benefit. We have clients that got $200,000, $300,000 of loans, or that many times are forgiven. So it's free money. And to qualify for those loans, you needed to have the proper payroll records, employing people. So many times what comes before you having the proper payroll records is the advice for you to hire people, to put people on payroll correctly. You know what I'm saying? So we had other clients that were treating all of their employees as subcontractors when they should have been on payroll, right? So if they had been on payroll, they would have gotten a much larger loan or forgivable loan, So, for sure. It's just a result of all the work that you're putting in and maintaining. I know that it's difficult for a lot of people,
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, it's difficult for a lot of people to get settled, but going back, first, let's figure out what your situation is. Don't be afraid of it, Sit with a good professional. Let's analyze what needs to be done to get you up to date. And then let's create a plan going forward. What you need to do on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis, so that this doesn't happen again. And many times it's better for you to have someone holding your hand through it.
Sure.
I know that I hire people for things that I don't want to do. It could be something that's easy for the other person, but for myself, it's completely, out of my world, So I would rather pay somebody to hold my hand through this process. And that's just how business is, right? Thankfully, it's like that, right? Thankfully, not everybody is cutting their own hair, right?
Yeah, we have our accountant, someone that record our videos for social media, the marketing girl. So we have other people that can help us. So things that we cannot do it.
Exactly.
As a business, if I own a business, let's say myself, I have a barbershop. Can I do my own bookkeeping? And what's the best way to do
You can certainly do your own bookkeeping. I normally recommend clients to have their own bookkeeping in-house. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the owner, right? So you can hire somebody that's going to be an internal bookkeeper. It's better because you're seeing the day-to-day activity there, like you're entering all of the transactions as they happen. So yeah, you can certainly do your own bookkeeping. If you're just small, like you're starting out and you can't afford somebody to serve as that function within your company, you could hire somebody part-time to begin with, to come once a week or twice a week to do your books. Or you can outsource the whole thing to an accounting company that would do that, what we call the write-up work. They would get and see everything that goes through the bank and categorize those transactions. That's normally the least expensive way for you to do your bookkeeping. But as you transition, as you grow, I would recommend having somebody in-house, somebody that's going to be responsible for, paying all the bills, make sure that checks are being deposited. In your case, it's mainly credit cards and cash. So, but that bookkeeper, that person could also serve other functions within your company to organize the finances of the company. And it's an essential position. Okay, so every business should strive to have somebody in-house, somebody that's trusted, somebody that's also being supervised by the owner as well. I also agree that the owner should always know what's going on. The owner should also always supervise the work that the bookkeeper is doing. So think of bookkeeping as something that your business is always going to need. Okay, you also don't want to outsource that responsibility of your company's finances to a stranger or to somebody that you hire out, right? I've seen many businesses fail because somebody is, keeping money that they shouldn't have, or stealing from the company,
Wow.
right? So it's important for the owner to, okay, let's, outsource it. Let's have somebody come in. Let's hire someone, or whether it's an accountant to do it. But let's know what's going on. Seek to learn about finances, about business finances. There are courses that you can take. Lee just taking some courses to learn about that. It's essential for the business owner to know about the business finances. And by hiring a third-party accountant, like an accounting firm, they can either do the work for you or they can revise the work that your internal bookkeeper is doing, which also works as well. They could come as that third party, that new set, that impartial set of eyes are going to look and analyze the work that your bookkeeper is doing to give the okay. Oh no, she's doing a good job, or he's doing a good job with the bookkeeping. And if there are any discrepancies or anything that looks fishy, that company would alert you as the owner about it.
We hear a lot of stories, as you said, that you have employees that you trust, but you don't supervise them. And at the end, you find out they're doing legal stuff or stealing from the business.
Mm-hmm.
And since you're not looking, not supervising, until you find out, it's too late.
Too late, yeah.
It's very dangerous. And as you said, yes, I had to take a lot of classes, workshops. I was really into learning because I had no idea how to run a business. I'm a pharmacist,
Right.
and I had no previous experience running a business. But it was important because otherwise, I don't think we would be where we are today.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I'm still looking for knowledge because that impacts our decisions. And I think if you don't organize your business, there is no way you can run a business without bookkeeping.
Right.
You have
No
to
way.
know how much
To
money
know.
is coming in, how much is coming out, what you're paying, the percentage you pay to each thing, so you can make better decisions and create strategies to grow. And I don't think there is a way you can have one business and then plan to open a second if you don't have the first one organized.
Exactly. No,
You're going to
it's essential.
be a big mess.
For sure.
You're creating two problems for yourself.
Yeah. As a barbershop owner or salon owner, what advice you could give? Because the majority of people work with us, the partners or collaborator, are 1099. What advice you give to us as a business owner to maintain organized working with 1099 people?
Do you mean as a 1099 themselves or as hiring out other 1099 people to work with them?
No, 1099 themselves.
Themselves.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So some things that we already mentioned in the interview today. As a 1099 person, you have to, if you're thinking about taxes, you're going to try to pay less in taxes, right? But at the same time, you must be organized to the point where anything that you declare in expenses, you can prove, right? So what I would recommend doing is, hey, keep track of all the money that you're making and all of the expenses that you have, okay? You can learn about the things that you can deduct for your business. For example, if you're going at a conference in another state, all the traveling that you're having, the plane tickets, the hotel, the ticket to the conference, to the beauty conference, those things can all the time be deducted. So those are business deductions that help lower your net income, okay? But you have to keep track of that. Maintain the receipts. Try to be organized. Set some time, even if it's an hour a month, just to analyze the prior month. What came in? All of the expenses. That's summer. Let's keep track. Let's know which direction that we're going. Compare to the prior period. If you're able to keep track of the number of customers that you're servicing. I always, even as a self-employed, even as a 1099, I always recommend people to think as if you're working a business, because you are. How many clients are you servicing? What's the time that you're spending with each client? You know, how much material are you using?
Yes.
Compare the quality of the material that you're using. Get some feedback from your customers, you know? So don't think just because you're there just cutting hair the whole day that you can't think like that, you know?
If barber sell product, he's a 1099, right? And he sell products. Is he has to pay sales taxes?
If he's selling the product to
the client.
yes, he should be collecting sales tax. So the sales taxes must be paid by the end consumer. Okay, so
Okay.
if you have a barber that also sells products, they must register with the state. Say, hey, I sell products now.
But can he register as a
He
person?
can. He can certainly register as a person.
Oh, okay.
And so
I
he
didn't
doesn't
know
have to
that.
have a business. So he can be
Okay.
an individual that's selling products. They register with the state. They get a resale certificate. That means that whenever they buy the product from their vendor, they show that certificate and they don't have to pay the sales taxes.
Okay.
Okay? So, but whenever they sell that to their client's going to have to pay the price for the product plus the sales tax. And then it's the responsibility of the seller to get the sales tax from the client and submit it to the state.
Okay.
Okay, because that's not their money. That's the state's money that their role is to get it from the client and submit it to the state. So
Okay.
they can certainly do that as an individual as well.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought just business could apply for a sales tax certificate.
No, individuals can also do it.
Okay.
So we're about to finish. Leo, do you want to leave like information that people can find you? Instagram, Facebook, email, anything?
Sure,
Your
glad to
name
do
of the
that.
company
Yep.
also.
So the name of our company is Leader Associates. Okay, so you can find us on Instagram. It's easy. It's at leader.associates with an S at the end. We're also on Facebook /Leader Associates LLC. Our website's really easy, leader.associates. There's no .com, just leader.associates. Get straight to our website with more information there. We're easily available. You can send us a message, your email or via WhatsApp. All that information is on our social media and our website. So we're here to help, whether you're just starting out the business and you need some guidance on how to set up your business, what you need to do, the licenses that you need to acquire, and just some guidance overall. We can certainly set up an initial call, initial consultation, and help you throughout the process as you grow as well. As you start hiring your employees, maybe you already have people that are working for you and you need to get them as employees or as subcontractors, 1099s, issuing out the 1099s. That's definitely something that we can be helping you as an individual or a business owner.
Do you serve clients in other states, in the whole United States?
We do. The whole United States, yep. So we definitely have clients in California, New York, Wyoming, so all over the country, we're able to help you. We also have a specialty in international tax. So whether you are an international person that lives in the U.S., that has income here and abroad, or whether you currently live outside of the United States, maybe you're watching us from England or from Australia, and you are doing business here in the U.S., we can certainly help you out with that as well, helping you set up. So we're here to help.
Wow, you gave all the answers that I needed to learn for myself. I bet everybody they are listening, watching too. Thank you for coming out to the Black Belt Barber podcast. You drove far. I think now you live in Miami, right? And
That's
you have
correct.
an office here.
That's correct. Yep, we live in Miami. Got an office in Boca and in Miami. But it's definitely worth it. I had a great time here talking to you guys in this chat, and you can definitely reach out to me next time. I'm here to help. Thank you so much for having me.
Also, guys, follow me, Tico Invictus, on Instagram, and go ahead on YouTube and just comment down here, give it a like, activate the how is it, the little bell, subscription.
Yeah,
subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see next. Leo, again, thank you for coming to the Black Belt Barber podcast, the first and only podcast about entrepreneurship for barbers and professionals of our industry. And this podcast is sponsored by Invictus Podcast Studios. Thank you, sir.
All right. Again. Thank you so much for having me.